Before we start the show, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Their support keeps this show free for you.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. It's Michelle and I'm back. And I have a lovely review on Apple iTunes that says, Michelle's work healed my inner world. Her impact is truly something special. To see children through her clear lens is the magic, is the path, is the salve for humankind. Thank you for all you share and how you share it, for being you. Thank you. I so appreciate that. That was so very sweet. Thank you. I'm humbled. I think there's a huge difference between loving our children to death and them feeling very loved. So we can love our kids, and I know we all do. We love our kids dearly and deeply. But do they feel loved dearly and deeply and unconditionally? I think that's the hallmark to deep bonded connection. I think that's the hallmark to a very solid parent-child relationship, is when our children know and feel our unconditional love. Sure, we can say, I love you all day long. I can say I love you when you go to bed. I can say I love you when you get up. I can hug you. I can say I love you all day long, right? And that's important. We need to tell our kids we love them. But how our kids feel about us and our love is a different story. Because I don't know if telling your child you love them all the time, does that necessarily convey the message that they are loved all the time? Because what happens in the moments that are hard, right? That's the bigger picture here, I think, for parenting and for a parent-child relationship, is what happens in those bigger moments. How are we coming to our children in those hardest moments? And are we coming to them with the most affection that we most connection that we possibly can, and in some cases affection, so that they know they're loved in those hard moments? But I'd say we want to take it a step beyond that. We want to not just love our children, but we want to be aware for our children, because our awareness and our, maturity in our parenting is so much more important than even loving our kids. Are we aware of what we're putting into the relationship? Are we conscious of the fear and the pain that we could unknowingly be dragging into our bond with our kids? Are we aware of what we are projecting to them? Are we always projecting? And when I say always, there's always exceptions to always, right? For the most part, are we projecting an unconditional love? Are we projecting a groundedness? Are we projecting self-regulation? Or are we not? And are we working on our unmet needs and unresolved issues? Are we working on our inner child? Are we working on the places where we struggle in our parenting, where we struggle to respond, and if we're working on those and we're striving to be better and we're striving to have more connectedness and we're striving to portray and convey unconditional love, then we're on our path. Sure, we're not going to be perfect. We never will be. That's okay. But is the majority of our interaction steeped in the idea that we believe in the goodness of our children and they understand that? How are they interpreting your relationship? Our relationship? How are Esme and Pia interpreting my relationship with them? In some moments, it's not a great interpretation, I have to say. Like sometimes I lose my mind. I lost my mind with Esme most recently when she came home for Christmas break. I lost it. I wasn't, I wasn't regulating. I didn't remember how quickly we forget. I didn't remember how much she needed, how much connection she needs, how much dysregulation, holding of space she needs. And, Pia duped me into believing that parenting was different because she's a different kid. And so I lost it. I said the wrong things. I did the wrong things. I told her, "You're embarrassing me." That's what I told her. I said, "You're embarrassing me and I need you to stop." And she called me right out. She goes, "How dare you say I'm embarrassing you? I was trying my best. I was trying to do the right thing." And she really was. And she really actually wasn't that embarrassing. I think I was taken aback and I was shocked and I couldn't remember how to parent her. And so I had to recalibrate. I screwed up in the moment. I really did. I messed up. Before we continue, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Their support lets us keep bringing you the show completely free. Are you sick of the sibling fighting? Are you tired of asking your child to do the same thing over and over and over again, only to end up using threats and bribes to try to get them to cooperate? Well, it doesn't have to be like that. You can learn the ideas of connection through our Connected Parent Mastermind group coaching program. We meet 3 days a week. Myself and my 2 coaches hold meetings. We also give you access to all of my online materials, meaning 10 modules of instruction, PDFs, podcasts, and my book. You get to join our school community and interact with coaches and myself and so many parents who are doing this work just alongside you. So if you're feeling stuck or if you want to accelerate your connected parenting practice even further, join the Connected Parent Mastermind. Click the link in the show notes for more information. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. Now back to the show. So it's not that every single moment has to be perfect and every single moment has to be filled with unconditional love and every single moment has to be this textbook, attached, secure parenting. It's not going to be, everybody. It just isn't. But we can still have an overarching idea that that's where we want to go and that's where we want to grow and that's what we want to be. And so I'd say just take a think about it for a moment. And I do the same thing. Like, do my children feel loved unconditionally? Or is it just myself that feels as if I'm providing unconditional love? Because we can all say, yeah, I love my kids unconditionally. I love them no matter what. I love them no matter what's going on. But do they actually know that in their hardest, darkest moments where they're making the big mistakes and they're saying the wrong thing and they're hitting their brother or sister, or they're throwing food across the room, or they're forgetting to come home at the right time during curfew, or they're lying about their homework, or all of the things kids do? And by the way, all kids are going to do these things. It doesn't mean they're bad kids. It doesn't mean your parenting is off. It doesn't mean there's major disconnection and everything is ruined. It means they are just children having an experience of being a child and trying on behaviors that are difficult and trying on behaviors that aren't quote unquote right. And that's what they're supposed to do. But when we go to criticism and chastising and being disappointed and lecturing and correcting and redirecting and not holding space for, when we go to these behaviors while a child is having a hard time, punishment, threats, yelling, bribing, when we go to those behaviors, when a child is having a hard time, what message are we sending? We're sending the message, your behavior is too hard for me. And now I have to respond with some sort of retaliation. I have to respond with some sort of punitive measure, with some sort of thing that's going to inflict pain on you because I'm feeling a certain way about how you made me feel. And so I'm going to respond in a way that's retaliation, literally. And in the name of discipline, in the name of teaching you something, in the name of correcting your behavior, in the name of helping you understand that you need to be moral. But do we believe that these children don't understand that they're moral? Of course they do. They know. Most kids know. They just make mistakes. And so it's in the mistake moments where the kids need to feel the unconditional love, not in the other moments. The other moments are so easy to give them the unconditional love. The yummy, snuggly time and the hugs and kisses and the moment they get home from school and the moment you leave them at the door of preschool and when you're giving the hugs and kisses and when you just given them the Christmas present, like all of those yummy moments where you're giving them love. I mean, that's a given, right? That's the easy part. That's the fun. That's the yummy part of being a parent. It's the icky, hard, dark moments where you're like, oh my God, this kid is driving me insane. My sweet, loving, adorable Esme is driving me insane. How do I come to her with connection? How do I come to her with self-regulation? How do I come to her with love? Because that cements the idea that she is good and that she is loved unconditionally and that I will not abandon her in those moments and that my love is real. Our bond is real. Our attachment is intact. And if we think about it from an adult point of view and an adult relationship, and let's just think about it in a partnership. Let's say you have a partner and they treat you like crap when you do the wrong thing. Maybe they punish you. Maybe they give you the silent treatment. Maybe they withdraw their love. Maybe they walk away. Maybe they refuse to communicate, or maybe they yell and scream and berate you. And how does it feel? And how would it feel for them to love you unconditionally through the hard moments? Now, you can't always do it, and they might blow up and they might have to apologize. But what if they could love you unconditionally through your hard moment, through your tantrum, through your upset, through your dysregulation? What if they loved you through that? What if they stay regulated through it? What if they could stay regulated through that? I want that. I want that person next to me. I don't want the person who gives me the silent treatment, who walks away, who yells, who dismisses me, who refuses to talk about things. I know couples who will go days without talking to one another because they've gotten iced out because of a transgression. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that in my partnerships, and I don't want to live like that in my parent-child relationship either. In fact, I don't want to live like that with anybody. It doesn't feel good. And I don't think it feels good for underdeveloped brains and insecure children who are powerless and living in a place where they have no control. It must be scary. It must feel hard. And if that happens again and again, now listen, if it happens a few times, of course, those are transgressions and they happen and we make repair. But if it happens again and again and again and again and again, that message gets pretty cemented. I love you when you're good. I don't love you when you're quote unquote bad. And I see your behavior as good and I see your behavior as bad. And so we want to go deeper. We want to be conscious about how we're responding to our children. And so I think that's the piece that we need to get really clear on. Why are you choosing to respond with punitivity, with negativity, with belittlement, whatever it is, yelling, with the cold shoulder, with withdrawal, however it is you're responding, why are you responding that way? Get conscious about where your unmet need is. I feel I need to be heard. I feel like no one understands me. I feel like I'm not important. What is it for you that's allowing you to be upset by your child's childish behavior? Find that consciousness and figure out where you can move the needle. So you're not pouring your fear and pain out onto your parent-child relationship. We don't want to project the things that we've internalized as people over the last 30, 40, 50 years. We want to be able to be conscious about what those things are, take ownership of what those things are, and not let them interfere between our parent-child relationship, because it's not worth it, everybody. It really isn't. And also, it's not worth it to be that person in general, because if you're responding like that to your children, you're likely going to be responding like that to your friends, to your siblings, to your partners, to your bosses, to your employees, to your coworkers. You're likely to be taking that way to react or respond or interact with people into your other relationships. So if you work on it in your parent-child relationship, it will permeate to your other relationships, and then you'll become a better person. And isn't that what we are all looking to become? Is better people, more conscious people, more aware people. We have to bring up the awareness. We want a more heightened, experience with our children than just getting through the day and having them brush their teeth. Like, oh, sure, that's important, but I want more than that, guys. I want next level. I want, relationship 2.0 with my kids. I want this to be everlasting. I want them to love me unconditionally too, and not to ice me out when I do the wrong thing or to punish me when I do the wrong thing. Because I assure you, if you're using it, you're modeling it, they're absorbing it, it's very well they could start mimicking you and punishing you or loving you conditionally or projecting their fear and pain onto you or onto their other relationships. I don't want that either. And we all have it. They're not going to come out of this childhood unscathed. We're not perfect parents. They're going to have stuff they need to deal with because we're going to screw up some stuff for sure. My kids included. This isn't a perfect science, guys, but I want to do the best I can. I want to, make the best impact that I possibly can with these people because they're my people. They're my most favorite people. And I want them to believe that I love them unconditionally without question. I want them to believe that they are the most important people in my life. I want them to believe that without me telling them. I want them to believe that by me showing them, by them feeling it, by them experiencing it with me. I don't believe in saying I love you as a way to show my child I love them. I believe I said should, and I want to say I love you to my kids because it feels organic and natural, and it's a loving way to express yourself. But I want them to feel it from my actions and my interactions and the way in which I come to my children and all the people in my life. And again, I'm not perfect, especially my partnerships. It's hard for me to translate that way. And I think for many of us, it is. I'm working on it. And hopefully I'll get there also with them. But for now, I'm working really hard on making sure my kids feel loved by the way in which they interpret the interactions that we holding space and being regulated in the hardest moments is how we do that. And I know we're all working on it. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. And let's let unconditional love reign. Before we start the show, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Their support keeps this show free for you. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions.